Yeah, y'all, I believe the end of the world is finna happen soon. Why did the new pope just get gifted a pale white horse, y'all? Look at the video. Can't make this up. Pale white horse, y'all. I just advise everybody to prepare. Stay prepared, y'all. Because 2026 is about to be the most craziest year we ever had.
Shalom, I hope you all are well. I'm blessed and I'm back again with a quick video. Today I want to take a closer look at the apocalyptic horses in Revelations, specifically the pale horse, not to be confused with the white horse, in which is totally different. The white horse is the religious lie. The pale horse is an expression of birth pains and a combination of plagues, while the red horse brings the conflict and the black horse brings the economic collapse. The pale horse is the spirit of total systemic failure, sent to dismantle the modern-day Egypt. Revelations chapter 6 and verse 8 reads, "And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth." This verse is connected to the word chloros, a sickly greenish-yellow color of decay. From a Hebraic perspective, this represents the final stage of a cycle where judgment meets consequences of wickedness. And just as the systems of Egypt were dismantled during the Exodus, many of us can see the current economic and political shaking as the tearing down of modern-day Babylon systems that have profited from the oppression of the righteous. This is divine judgment of the nations. By allowing the nations to fall into internal strife, the Most High exposes the fragility of man-made power built on injustice. Put it like this, the birth pains that we see happening in the world today are not just happening by chance. They are a direct response to how the nations have treated YAH'S people and his laws. As the wicked systems of this world fail, the focus is shifting away from relying on man and back to relying solely on the Creator. The world sees the pale horse and feels only the sticky green rot of inflation, war, and systemic collapse. But for the people of Yahuwah, this decay is the very thing that tears the veil of the old system to release what has been held back. Many of you may not know this, but prophetically the collapse of the old is the unveiling of the new. For divine restoration to occur, the spiritual Egyptian structures that have profited from the oppression of the chosen ones must first be shaken to their core. And as the systems fail, it can no longer hide the spoils it has held back. The rider of the pale horse forces a transition. We are no longer permitted to rely on the nations for our sustenance. We are forced to look solely to the Creator. The pale horse represents the sovereign reckoning. While the world sees chaos and decay, chosen ones of prophecy sees the accounts of the earth being settled. The green decay is the necessary environment for the wealth of the wicked to be released back into the hands of the righteous.
Since the Jews have received their reparations from Germany, I believe Germany is still paying reparations to the descendants of
still paying
of those people. We've paid reparations to the Japanese in the internment camps. We've paid reparations to the Chinese that was misused on the railroads. We've paid, I believe, or I think they're working on it, but we paid reparations for the Native Americans.
Yes, we have.
You know, but for the descendants of slaves that actually built this country, that built Wall Street, you know, the first thing that was traded on Wall Street was bonds for about black people, about slaves. Those were the first publicly traded things on Wall Street.
Facts.
So if we've enriched this country for 400 years and you don't have the money, there's a thing called the Brattle Group, independent statistics organization that did an evaluation on African Americans or the descendants of slaves, and they said that it's over 108 to 131 trillion dollars that's owed to the descendants of slaves.
Wow.
Now we don't make that in 10 years.
No.
Our country does not have that money free
More
to pay
than
out.
GDP.
So they're never able to pay us. So since they have built their entire country off of our labor for 400 years without any type of compensation, the only thing that I would think would be fair is for the next 400 years or 500 years or however long it's been, the descendants of slaves should not have to pay any taxes.
The timing for the turning of this Babylonian system back to the rightful heirs is linked to the fullness of the birth pains, the seals. This process isn't a single calendar date, but a divine sequence where the collapse of the counterfeit system, in which is the pale horse, leads directly to the restoration of the righteous. The timing of the turning of the Babylonian system back to the rightful heirs is linked to the fullness of the birth pains, the seals. This process isn't a single calendar date, but a divine sequence where the collapse of the counterfeit system, the pale horse, leads directly to the restoration of the righteous. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 22 reads, "A good man leave an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just." Again, the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. The Babylonian system acts as a temporary storehouse for the resources that actually belong to the people of Yah. Let's take a look at Jeremiah 30 and 8 through 9. And it reads, "For it shall come to pass in that day, said Yahuwah of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve Yahuwah their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them." This describes a specific day where Yah will break the yoke from the neck of his people, so the strangers can no longer serve themselves of him. This is the moment the systems stop profiting from the heirs and begin to be dismantled. The color red, Adam, is linked to Edom, the system of the sword. When nations touch the apple of Yahuwah's eye, Yah sends a spirit of confusion and division. The red horse takes away the fake peace of the white horse. It forces the Babylonian system to turn their swords against one another, effectively shattering the global unity needed to keep the heirs in bondage. The black horse. This rider holds balances or scales. In the Torah, just scales are required, but here they represent hyperinflation and the control of food. This is the tearing down and the exposure of Egypt. By shaking the global economy, Yah proves that the Babylonian paper wealth is worthless. This is the beginning of the wealth transfer, as the system that profited from the oppression of the righteous begins to starve itself out. The command, "Do not harm the oil and the wine," is a Hebraic sign that Yahuwah protects the anointed heirs while the system crumbles. But back to that pale horse. This is systemic death. The color is chloros, sickly green, representing the physical decay of a corpse. The rider is death and Sheol. This is the final stage of the birth pains. It is the total dismantling of the Babylonian system through the sword, hunger, and pestilence. The pale horse is not to be confused with the white horse, in which is deception. The pale horse is the reality of what the religious lie produced. The sequence ends with the total bankruptcy of the man-made world. In the Hebraic law, when a thief is caught, he must pay back sevenfold. As these four horses tear down their old structures, they're clearing the land and the resources for the jubilee, where every debt is canceled and the rightful heirs walk back into their ancestral and spiritual authority. The Babylonian system stole the identity, time, and land of the rightful heirs. The white, red, black, and pale horses stripped the substance from the thieves' house. By the time the fourth horse completes its ride, the Babylonian system is legally bankrupt. It has nothing left to pay its debt, so the house, in which is the world system itself, is seized by Yahuwah. The jubilee cannot begin until the occupiers are removed. Leviticus 25:10 reads, "And ye shall hallow the 15th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family." The horsemen dismantle the fences, the banks, and the religious institutions that block the heirs from their land and their spiritual authority. This is the Great Reset, when the man-made world goes bankrupt. The debt-based system of Babylon dies. This is the literal cancellation of all debt. And the heirs, who are Yahuwah's chosen ones, they don't have to buy their way back. We walk back in because the thief has been evicted. This is the world's turning point that happened in 2019. It's what they call the Great Shift. The white horse, the religious lie, is exposed so that the heirs can see the true word. The black horse, the economic scale, breaks the monopoly of the merchants, allowing the wealth transfer to the righteous. The land is cleansed, and the pale horse removes those who destroy the earth. He's preparing the soil for the new kingdom to come. YAH'S not just destroying the earth, he's reclaiming it. He's tearing down the old shack to replace it with a palace. The four horsemen act as divine bailiffs, sent to execute a cosmic foreclosure. By systematically stripping the Babylonian system of its religious lies, its false peace, and its economic grip, YAH is forcing the thief to pay its sevenfold debt. This total bankruptcy of the man-made world is the necessary clearing of the land, making way for the Great Jubilee, where all debts are canceled and land is cleansed, and the rightful heirs finally step back into their ancestral and spiritual authority. These are truly exciting times to be living in as we watch the king dismantle the thief's house to restore the true inheritance to his people. Thank you all for watching, and may the Most High Baruch all deserving. And remember Matthew 24:13, "He that endures until the end shall be saved." And until my next video, Shalom.